Good morning. It's the end of November, and right now it's about 9:30 in the morning on, what is it? Thursday morning, and it's minus 2 degrees Celsius, or just below freezing, but there's not a cloud in the sky. A bit of a breeze on the lake, but otherwise, what a beautiful day. It's been a while since I've been able to get out. I've had a few challenges lately in my recovery, but that's not going to stop me from getting out whenever I can. So I felt the need to get out, build a fire, make some lunch, have some coffee, see what else I could do. Little projects in the woods here. So I'm not too far in off of the highway. I've only been walking for about half an hour, but I think that's fair enough. But I was lucky on the way in. Beautiful Ganoderma mushroom. Polypore. Was growing on a downed, an old dead spruce tree. Very fresh looking, huge and heavy. I believe it to be a Ganoderma applanatum, but I'm going to have to verify that. Either way, it's still safe, still medicinal, in good shape. I'll be putting that away with my collection of medicinal mushrooms. If you're interested in seeing my lunch today, seeing what else I can come up with, small projects, stay tuned. That's good. It's still there. I can pull down. Oh yeah, that's nice. Excellent. Very nice. Alright, so spent a little time getting my fire ready, and I'll show you that in a second. I don't mind telling you, the wet wood, it snapped dry, but when I got it on the fire, a lot of steam came out of it, and I realized a lot of it was frozen and wet from the rain from the last couple of days. So my fire is burning, but it's not taking off really, really fast. But it's okay, it's burning. I thought I'd just give you a little pan of the lake. This is a site that I come to quite often in the winter because it's a little easier to access, not too far, about half-hour walk in the woods. And I'm close to the water, and it provides me a nice spot where I can leave my lean-to sticks for my hammock chair, and a fireplace, and a cooking tripod, and a ready store of sticks that I've been picking up and setting up right to keep them dry. And there was a tiny little rock fireplace here. It was on bare earth. It didn't seem to have caused any problems, but I decided to do a little work to it the last time I was out here, and dug down, made sure there was no roots, and then built up 5 to 6 inches of rocks and sand. So it's 5 or 6 inches off of the duff. Well, there's no duff because I cleared the duff out. Then gathered a lot of rocks to build a bit of a fire pit. So I've got something now with a high back on it which draws air up nicely. And you can see the fire is going, slowly but going, taking off now. I need to build up a good bed of coals. I'm going to try and bake some bannock today. A little different way, something I picked up off of one of the Facebook pages. I'll tell you about a little later. But here's my fire pit, my tripod, my Trailblazer 15-inch folding bucksaw, or a collapsible bucksaw, my Hultafors classic trekking axe, little log, and my very, very comfortable homemade hammock chair. Great little spot. Not a lot of work to get here, just a little work to set up my lunch, and all is good. I'll bring you back when I'm going to do some lunch. So it's actually too early to have lunch, and I'm not quite ready for a cup of coffee either. So I thought I'd have a cup of tea. I had mentioned in a previous video that having tea in the woods, I prefer to have a little bit of skim milk in mine, and that the skim milk powder, when I added it to the boiling water, often just clumped up. It's not that it went bad. I had thought originally that maybe it's gone bad, but it clumped up and wouldn't dissolve properly. So following the advice of a few of my viewers, and something of course I recall from my youth when we mixed it up at home, is start with a little bit of cold water. Add my skim milk powder to the cold water, dissolve it, then add my tea bag and hot water. And that seems to have worked perfectly. So it's, like I said, it's too early for lunch. My fire is going nice. I can feel the warmth even back a meter and a half. So I'm going to sit here and enjoy this cup of tea and just relax. That's the reason I came out, just to relax. Oh yeah, that turned out better. Okay, I moved out of the woods and came down to the edge of the lake so I could put this together, mostly because there was too much shadow. I tried looking in the camera to see if you're going to be able to see what I was doing, and I don't think you could. So I'll try to do it down here. I'm going to make some bannock. The bowl I have is both a measuring bowl. It does have measurements inside of it, metric and imperial, and it's my lunch bowl as well, something new I just picked up. And looks like it's going to be a good deep size, a little bit big, but not too bad. So the bannock mix, I'm going to pour in all but a small amount. Now I know a lot of people like to mix their bannock right in the bag. Kind of save the having to clean up. There, I hold it a little bit back and you'll see why in a minute. Try to save the cleanup that I'll have to do in the bowl. And I can understand that if you don't have a lake nearby or a stream nearby or a good source of water that you can wash your dishes out. But for me it is so much easier to do this in the bowl because eventually I do want to get my hands in here, and I just find it easier to judge whether the bannock's getting to the right consistency. So I have my bannock mix in the bottom, and I'll talk about the mix in a second because I haven't seen anybody use this. I think this is my own. Now, somebody may correct me. I think this is my own invention or my own ingredients. Make a little well in the center, a little hole. Pour just a bit of water in. I don't want enough water in there to absorb up all the flour yet. A spoon. Start mixing. And I will bring this over and show you when I get close to being ready. Just that little bit of water was almost all it took, just a little tiny bit more. Not quite as much as the first time. Now this is only going to make a small bannock. That's all I wanted to do today. It's going to go with my lunch. It's not my lunch by itself. Yeah, okay, there's the reason I held it back. That little extra water was actually too much. It's so easy to get too much in here. Now, if you're doing this in a fry pan, this would be okay. But if you're going to do it over a stick, I think you can see that, that is too wet. And that's the reason I held it a little bit back in that bag. Now I can add that in and hopefully dry this out enough so it can be handled. So easy to add too much water. And that worked. Still a little bit wet, but I'll be able to handle this now. I wouldn't mind having a little bit more flour, but I think this will work. Yeah, I should have a little bit more flour, but that's going to absorb a little bit more. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Good. Now, I'm going to try something new. You know, forever and a day, when I was small, and my kids were small, and even now when my wife and I go car camping, I'll use a stick. A little bit thicker than this. This is probably 3/4 of an inch. Peel back any bark, wrap my bannock dough around the end of it, and then roast it like I would a hot dog over the fire, just nice and slow. It's, you know, it's not that I have anything else to do at the time. And when it's hard enough that I can tap it and it sounds hollow, I know it's done. And then I can slowly slide it off the stick, and I usually fill it with jam or something like that, maybe a little bit of butter. And that's a very easy, very bushcraft way of doing things. It's what I've always done. But I saw something recently that I wanted to try. My wife bought me this last year for my birthday, and I haven't used it. This is called the Light My Fire Grandpa Grill. And it's just a small grill that you can put a hamburger, steak, chicken, fish, anything you want in. and it attaches to a stick, and I'll give you a close-up of that in a second. And what I'm going to try and do is put the bannock in the grill. Now this is less than ideal because the bannock is just so wet. So this may, and this might be a total fail. That's a nice small bannock. Then I can close the grill over. And now I can go up and put that on top of my fire. So let's do that. So there's my bannock dough. Already a little crusted already, unfortunately. I was down at the lake just washing out my bowl, and I probably should have been up here paying a little attention to it. A few pine needles. And because it wasn't quite as firm as I'd like it, it kind of went through the grill grate, but I think that's still going to be fine because it's still going to cook up nicely. I got to pull it back a little bit from the heat, a little further back than it was. Now, lunch is going to be, get my water off here. How much is in there? Plenty. It's going to be another one of my homemade ones. Chili soup with venison jerky, some cashew, some rice, some quinoa, all mixed together. Actually, it's a big meal. Hope I can eat it all. I wanted to get the bannock on first because it usually takes a little longer to cook than this meal. This meal will only take about 5 minutes or so to... Holy smokes, that's a lot of food. Smells good already, though. Wow. Chili soup. Cool. Now hang that back over the fire and just let that simmer slowly. Bring it down. It's the beauty of a tripod. Yeah, I've made the trammel, and I'll show that sometime. And I like the toggle on the end of the string, and I could be putting a carabiner on there. Any number of things will work for this, but you know what? If you just want to leave it at a fixed length and use the poles of the tripod themselves for heat adjustment, it gives you all. As long as you got the room, of course, to spread out, it makes it so easy. It's going to take a few minutes to rehydrate the soup and the bannock for it to fully cook. Boy, is it ever getting thick. Alright, bring you back and show you the product just before I eat. Okay, lunchtime. That is hot. Probably too hot. And this is done. Now, despite the fact that it grew through the grill, it's got that nice hollow sound, a little harder done on that side. And it's going to come apart anyway. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's put it together with our lunch. Now, keep it off the ground for a second. Oh, this is huge. Huge amount. Way too much. Way too much to eat. That's all right. Wonder what it's going to taste like. And way too hot. Outstanding. All right, let's try the Bannock. So this is a bit of an experiment to see if this would work. And, oh, it's not hot. I thought it might be. Should have brought a plate or something. Oh my. Okay. Despite the fact that it's stuck to the grill, this is beautiful Bannock. Oh, that's nice. So what's my recipe? I'll give you the exact ingredients in the show notes if you're interested. I mean, Bannock is no great secret. At its simplest, Bannock is just flour and water. You can add to that some kind of a rising ingredient or leavening ingredient. Mostly baking powder, that's what most people will use, that's what I use. A little bit of salt, and you've got a Bannock mix. Now if you want to add milk to it, it gives it more consistency. And if you want to add some type of a fat, either be it a vegetable oil or a shortening or butter, margarine, those things also add to moisture and to consistency and body. Well, what I decided to do was skip the oil or the fat. I mean, I could have pre-mixed it at home and cut it all in, and like you would with a couple of forks, a couple of knives, cut it and made it all ready to go. But I decided to go with a high-fat milk, buttermilk. So powdered buttermilk gives me more fat than a regular milk powder would. And you know what? It worked. That and whole wheat. I use whole wheat flour. I'll use that Bannock recipe again. Okay, I'm going to work it off of the grill and let my soup cool down because I got to get the water on. Clean my pot out, get the water on for coffee. There. That's what the lid is for. Perfect. A little bit stuck here, but it's cooked. All right. Okay, I'll bring it back to coffee time. Coffee time. Take the water off of the heat. Set it aside for a second. My coffee maker down. You're going to come out and have a day in the woods where you do some work and then stop and have a good lunch, including that Bannock, which I really enjoyed despite the fact that it's stuck to the grill. You deserve to have a good cup of coffee. So the other day I roasted some beans at home with my popcorn maker, like I've shown before. I ground them up this morning. So they're not fresh roasted today, but they're pretty close. There. The trick here is not to burn myself like that. A little longer stick would probably do it. That's better. See if I can keep from burning myself. Just a little bit more water. Bring it to the top. Perfect. Stainless steel perforated filter. find this one a little easier to put on top first. Oh, I can see it now. Do you know, I mentioned this, it's interesting, every YouTuber complains about either trains or planes or something that interrupts their videos. 9 times out of 10, when I'm out on a hike in this area, it's a helicopter, a search and rescue helicopter. And I can see it now. Now, it's not very close and not very loud, but it's just a coincidence that I have the camera on, now the helicopter comes over. So I'm giving this a few minutes. I think ideally 3-4 minutes. You know, if you look on the websites and videos, first off, they don't use the AeroPress like I'm using it, where it's inverted, meaning the filter is up and I fill the water. This allows the coffee to steep in the water just a few minutes, similar to what you might do with a French press. Normally you would have it turned upside down over top of the cup, put your coffee in, your water in, then put your plunger in, and the whole time the coffee is starting to leak through the filter. And then very quickly you plunger it in. The idea is that you don't really need to wait to let this steep. Well, I guess you don't have to wait, but I find it much nicer when I do. Stronger, but nicer. The only thing about using these in the woods, and I guess that can be said of a lot of devices, is it's top heavy. You can see it's a little unstable looking right here. So make sure if you're going to use it in the woods that you have it supported. Now I could have put a stick or a rock there, but I think I've got it well on pretty level ground right now. That's long enough. A couple of minutes. And it's nice because it fills my Kopilka cup right to the top. Little reverse pull on it, or just short of the top anyway. And that is a cup of coffee. Rich, dark, strong, and still too hot to drink though. I think I'll let this cool a bit. I'll sit here in my hammock chair and enjoy the mid-afternoon sun as it comes around the corner through the trees. Alright, I'll join back with you in a few minutes. Oh man. What a great day. I know I say that all the time when I come out, but this was another good one. I had a few more projects in mind that I didn't get accomplished, although it's only early. It's only mid-afternoon now, so I still have some time to do that. If I get the energy up, relaxing, the sun coming around, boy, it's just beautiful right now. I wanted to take a minute to thank all my viewers who have been sending me positive thoughts, good wishes, and the prayers. It's meant a lot to me, and it's kept me positive. It's kept me wanting to come back out. Well, not that I needed the motivation, but it was the push I needed. So chemotherapy is, well, in this case it's not bad, but it's not a walk in the park. There's a few side effects. They seem minor until you try to go for a hike. Now, I'm not whining, I'm not complaining. I know people that have a lot worse off than I do. The side effects that I have, as strange as they sound, it's almost like a blistering on my fingers and on the bottoms of my feet. Skin peels a little bit, gets very tender actually. So I have to use creams and things to keep them from cracking. You know, if you're around the house, that's not a big deal. And even out in the woods wearing gloves, well, probably should be, more than I am. But it's the bottom of my feet that make it a little bit challenging. So double pair of socks helps a lot. Nice soft socks, good wool socks. But that's small. That really is small. Any other side effects that I've had are really minor, honestly. Ah, what a beautiful day. So I took the time, this little spot I showed you earlier is, like I said, only about a kilometer off of the highway. I can still hear the highway noise behind me. I'm not sure if you can. That's just the way it carries, of course. I'm right on the edge of a lake, a little inlet of the lake. It's nice here during the winter because it's sheltered from the north wind, where a lot of my other spots would be very windy, very hard to film, and very hard to get a fire going without a lot of wind affecting the fire. And I took the time to build up this little fire pit here, and I had a whole lot of wood, downed trees, a lot of it laying down, a lot of it standing, that I was able to collect, and I have a nice pile just there by the fireplace. I don't think it shows in the camera. So it took me an hour or so to cut that up, so I'll cover that over with a tarp when I leave, so that during the winter as I come down, I'll be able to uncover it and I'll have some firewood ready to go. And I have 20 or 30 10-foot poles that I've collected from around the woods here, standing against a tree there that, of course, they're standing to start with, and they'll be above the snow. And as the winter goes on, I'll be able to take those and cut those up for firewood as well. So it is truly my intent to come out as often as I can, at least once a week, if not more. I have been told that the side effects will intensify to some degree. Nah, that won't stop me. Okay, I may turn the camera back on, but if I don't, know that I've enjoyed a good day out here in the woods. I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me. It's great. It's great to get out and explore. It's great to take that path less traveled. Bye for now.